Hey folks, it's Egwin from Scope of Life and Beyond Systems. Now lately I talked a lot about stabilizing movement through those developmental movement patterns. So movement patterns that you literally begin doing as a child, as a baby actually, in order to prepare yourself for more complex movements throughout your teenage and then adult years. And so those are really the foundation of movement and mobility development. And today I want to share a little bit more of the theory behind that. And in the next video I'll jump into the movements again, and I'll give another movement update, another exercise update. But today let's just explain what we did the last couple of times. Now, first of all, when you think about mobility, or when you think about stability in walking, in standing and so on, this requires a lot of energy, a lot of effort, especially in terms of coordination and in terms of literally you have to have the strength in order to stand or to even stand up from the ground, from a chair and so on. Now those are all things that are so completely natural to us that most people don't really realize how much effort is actually needed. The reason why you don't realize that anymore is because it is one of the most fundamental patterns of this human form that you learn as a baby. Now ideally your parents allow you to learn movement on your own terms. Now nowadays there are a lot of strange devices where you sort of hang your child in their pelvis long before they are actually physically able to start walking on their own and stuff like that. Now if you are a parent and you're using something like that, I highly suggest don't, and just really allow your child to develop its movement patterns and the strength in order to uphold his own structure properly on his or her own terms. This is really extremely important for the long-term perspective and for movement health and postural health of this child in the future. Also, whenever you hang a child in some sort of these walking seats or something like that, so where you have these rolls attached to this sort of chair where they can just reach the ground with their tiptoes and already start walking around, but still a little bit suspended. Just think about it. Like, this also means that literally their hip joints aren't fully developed at that stage, but you already put pressure on them from underneath in a very strange way. Otherwise you can't hang the pelvis off the joint into those seats. So literally what you're doing there is something rather unnatural. So those things, they're supposed to help with development of a child, but in terms of movement and posture, they definitely don't. They're extremely counterproductive. Now, I don't want to jump into parenting advice or anything like that here. I just want to point out postural aspects and mobilization and stability aspects here when it comes to learning movement. Now, for us, whenever you do these rolling exercises or you start with development of movement, you look at a baby, they start rolling from one side to the other. That's one of the first things they learn, or they do on their own. They sort of try to be able to roll from their belly to their back and back again. And so in order to be able to do that, the first thing they need is they need to coordinate the muscles and to strengthen the muscles of the whole core area. Core area means literally everything between your shoulders and your hips, everything that stabilizes the shoulders, that stabilizes the spine, that stabilizes the ribcage, that stabilizes the pelvic ring. Especially in relation towards each other. So the pelvis in relation to the spine in itself, since it's obviously a very mobile installment, and obviously also the shoulders in regard to the chest area and the ribcage area. Now, what is really important here is that this movement development, this mobility development, and I'm choosing the term mobility over the term stability here, because most people have a strange relationship with the term stability. And stability nowadays is something that most people refer to when they talk about, say, a building structure. Is a building structure stable enough to withstand the wind or something like that? So most people refer to a stable structure as something rather rigid. And the stability in the body is not about rigidity. The stability in the body is actually about mobility. So the mixture of flexibility, stability, and strength, and the coordination needed for that. So the coordination to actually be able to dynamically stabilize movement and stabilize joints, because joints are there to be moved. If you do not move a joint, you'll eventually lose the ability to do so. If you do not coordinate the muscles around the joint properly, eventually you'll use the connection to those muscles, even your conscious ability to work with those muscles. So what are those very, very basic developmental movement patterns for that a baby automatically starts to use? They train their coordination, they train their strength, and they train the perception needed in order to give proper commands to the muscle. So it's a neurological development as much as it is a muscular development, and obviously also a program that they write, a program that later on they automatically use, we all automatically use in order to balance ourselves, in order to stabilize ourselves. Now let me give you an example. Sometimes when there is a deformation in this body, say we have an accident and there is a hit on, say, the shoulder or something like that, or a hit down here in the rib area because, I don't know, like you fell down with your bike or you had a car accident or whatever. And whenever there is tension that still resides inside of your body, like muscular compensational tension that's unilateral, that's on one side on the body but not on the other side of the body, this is literally a program breaker. So sometimes unilateral tensions that come from physical trauma, they actually imbalance the whole body structure so much that the basic functioning principles, the basic coordination programs cannot balance this tension out anymore, and that's when you start to become unstable in your movement. There are many reasons why one might become unstable in his or her movement, but this can be one reason. And this is, as mentioned, just an example. So resetting to the basic movement patterns literally targets the program, the coordination, the strength of muscles, their flexibility, and also combining all those before the stability that comes out of the interaction of those before mentioned aspects. Stability comes from your ability to be able to feel that muscle, to be able to target that muscle consciously, and also to use the subconscious programs that you should have developed as a baby or developed as a baby in order to work with those muscles. It comes out from the flexibility, so your ability literally to move freely without any restricting tension, and it comes obviously from the strength that is needed in order to move a joint safely. And so this is why those fundamental movement patterns are really so extremely important. Now, there are governing aspects. One of those governing aspects is obviously the head leads concept. I explained that a little bit more in detail in one of the walking tutorial videos, actually, the second one, I think. And obviously also our eyes, because we literally stabilize a lot of our movement via our vision. Now, people who, for instance, are blind, they start to develop other senses, like literally they have a much better sound perception and so on. So they literally switch part of their stabilization patterns away from the eyes towards hearing and so on. But as soon as you still have vision, vision is one of the prime stabilizing aspects for most human beings. And this is the fun thing here. Using your eyes, you can train your movement, you can balance your movement, and you can direct your movement. We'll go more into detail about those aspects in the near future. I don't want to jump too deep into this right now, otherwise this video is going to be a 2-hour video again. So that being said, there is a lot more to come just about how eyes or eye movement actually influences our structure and our body. Those basic patterns that we used in the last couple of videos, which was this rolling on the ground and identifying plus using polarities in the body between the palm and say the foot and so on. All those things, they are really there to train the muscles physically and to reset the body to its original functioning basic principles. Plus, it is a training of perception. And while I mentioned this last right now, it is maybe the most important aspect. Remember, I always say, whenever you stop using something, you lose it. And I'm not the only one, luckily, not the only one who says that. One of the examples that I always use, like if you do a really intense fasting period and say you do not take in any regular, really solid food for say 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or maybe because you are ill and you just simply can't digest solid food, and then you really bite full-heartedly into an apple, then you'll realize that your teeth would have become loose a little bit. So 2 to 3 weeks is already enough so that you feel that the connection from your teeth to your skull actually got weaker. This is how the body works. So the thing here is, if you stop using basic coordinational patterns, if you stop using all your joints, all your muscles, all the variety that you have as a potential in your body, you stop losing the connection to those body parts. Not just in terms of you lose strength, no, but also in terms of you lose literally the neurological ability to tell that muscle what to do on a conscious level. More and more of those patterns are shifted towards the subconscious, and sometimes in really intense cases, which right now is getting more and more, is actually switched to the reflex pose. You can retrain that, but still, if you can maintain the original function that each and everyone who can walk more or less properly and learned that as a child, if you maintain that original function, if you maintain that original connection and interactive capability with your body, then you have a much better chance of going injury-free through your life and also having a healthy upright posture, like without having to constantly think about where to tense up and how to build the arches of your foot and how to create a balanced pelvic ring or something like that, how to use your core muscles in order to stabilize the pelvis. There's a reason why we start with the rolling, because movement development actually starts from the core towards the outside. The arms and the legs, they start to develop their strength pretty much at the same time as the core. But strength in arms and legs without mobility in the core just doesn't do anything. Because if you're very strong in your arms and in your legs, but your core is like completely uncoordinated and not mobile at all, think about it as a child. If a child has really strong arms and really strong legs, but their core wouldn't be like developed at all, then this would literally mean that there is a connection error between the shoulder girdle and the hips. You need this core stability in order to move your whole body with integrity first. And once again, when I say core stability, please do not think about core stability as something where the muscles in your belly constantly have to be tense and you have to stabilize in terms of not moving your spine. Stability has nothing to do with not moving something. Stability means 100% movability and mobility without losing integrity of the joints and without the joints falling out of place, literally. This is what stability is all about, and this is why those basic movement patterns, they develop the strength and the coordination from the center towards the outside in all directions. And this is how movement development starts. This is why we're doing those exercises at the moment. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment box. If this is the first video you watched and you're not sure what I've been talking about here, jump back to the channel and watch the last couple of videos that I posted about rolling on the floor. And as mentioned, a lot more videos in this department are going to come in the next couple of weeks and days. So that's what's going to happen. More videos about this and also a couple of more videos in the emotion series, but that's basically the plan for the next couple of days and weeks. Have a wonderful time. If you haven't subscribed to the channel and you want to stay up to date with such things, then just hit that subscribe button below. I wish you all the best. Thanks for watching, and any questions, leave them in the comment box. Bye guys.